Um, the start of this one is to make an acknowledgement, an eternal public acknowledgement that I don't seek as the director of a movie to control what the other characters experience being in the movie. That means it's your free will to experience your free will, which is your free will choices, which is the pathway that you or I choose to learn through, and thus experience what we learn as a result of that experience in our mirror between two magnets. Okay, so I've mentioned before that in 2016, I took off the headset, lit myself on fire, right? Said, we're done with them. We knew in 2013 it was over. We'd already won this. We're already on the other side of this, right? But it's not up to me to choose for you what you know through what you experience from what you learned through that experience. Okay. That's why the torque speed in learning and learning through a Godspeed, Godseed code torque converter that is accelerating at a higher speed of creation that began with the one, began with the first wave, which is the first real eternal living light, gifting an electron to go on forever, gifting voltage. Okay. And so you can understand the torque speed differential between Godseed speed intelligence, mated with a goddess, to go on forever as a monopole, which is the one, to generate forever all the voltage that is needed in order for everyone to experience the one. Okay. So I wrote a few things down here because I've noticed even within a few of the friends that I have that I communicate with, including my clan mother, Karen Ann Luke McDonald, and they'll put the dates up, the date and the timestamp. So I covered the difference between inside time, or what we call time dilation or time dependent, based on learning. And something Yellow Rose mentioned, she became aware of and thus communicated with others so they could become aware of what Rose was aware of, and what we call sorting the field as a result of the complexity of what happened here since the inception of Star Wars, or fracturing of souls, and the altars that alter the records therein, coupled to the war that was launched in heaven against the one. Okay. And so I was going to use, and I have to write some things down because otherwise it's just gone. It's just the way it works, right? Is use the example of time clocks and how electron water distribution log scale tables work between living spirit water, or the soul, and a dead light magnet, a finite light water world that is dead water. Cybernetic, which is absent of a soul, and spirit, which is love-based, world of musical soul-arcing spirits versus SIM card simulations. So this is sort of how I was using the example with Aaron, right? Because I get Social Security, okay? So what that means is if Aaron comes up to me and says, listen, can I get 20 bucks? I'm inside time and I'm outside time. So it could be that I get a prompt that says, hey, remember my energy is being used wherever I get a prompt, and I know where it comes from, which is mama. Wherever I'm supposed to be is wherever I'm supposed to be, and I'll know where that is, and I will be there. That's called knowing. So if Aaron says, well, give me $60 now so I can war game with the AI to accumulate more electrons off of you as a monopole. Okay. And I told him once I cover a lot of debts. Yellow Rose covered that. About what are known as allocation units in a water distribution table between dead water and living water, a dead magnet and a living magnet, a soul with a spirit, a teacher that's experiencing real living light that goes on forever, gifting electrons, gifting love, gifting love, gifting love, gifting love, gifting love. Flowers, baby, right? Real flowers, not plastic flowers, synthetics. Okay, so what this means is now I'm held captive to Aaron's energy, Aaron's state of consciousness. So I know that when I'm being held captive by a unit of consciousness that is using his energy to blow holes in his energy field, right? You see how that works between software operating environments and a planetary motherboard, right? Between magnets. Okay. Particularly if he took the jab, right? And so what that means is now I'm time dependent. Why? Because I have to wait on Aaron to get the electrons back. Okay? So what that means is that I'm now allocating units of energy that represent the electrons, that the electrons are now going to be used in order to war game with a dead light magnet. Okay? And so what it means is I got to wait. So if I get a prompt 38 hours from now, right? Ooh, I got to move. Then it means that I had to be willing to sacrifice what I gave him and move on. Right? Because I don't want to be held captive to the mass, which represents the density, to be free to go without a leash and collar of having to wait on something that's time dependent. Now we're into time dependent learning. And the difference in the speed of the magnets, which is how fast do you learn it. Right? How to maintain perfect balance in a water world, which is a living world, which is living spirit, with purity, which is the purity of the fire, which is the purity of the love, because you're experiencing God's intelligence. Made with a girl. Become one pole. I'm one pole. One. The one. Okay? And this is the reason why knowing the difference between a dead magnet and a living magnet, knowing one from the other. Remember Patty Bessard mentioned that? So this is why I mentioned him one time. Listen, I'm in love and service to others. I lit myself on fire. That means I don't have any choice in the matter but to just give energy away. So when you ask me that you want to borrow it from me, it's the same as giving it to you, giving you it as a gift. Because you want to know the truth, go read page 400, go forward around 444, which is what, 12? Now we're back to 3, right? In the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, 3rd edition. And we'll talk about collision courses, broken arrows, director of programming, okay, but expectations. Do I have an expectation that Aaron, which represents energy, will give me back the electrons? Now we're into exchange rate value, and you know that there are exchange rate differences between time zone locations, between China, Alaska, Australia, Los Angeles, New York, London, right? Because now we're back to value tagging, tags with numbers on it. So if I take you back to when I'm 4 years of age, I realize that there is only one value indicator, which is what I call an idiot light meter, voltage meters. There's only one law. And that one law, which is a law of math and physics, which says the law of least effort is seeking the pathway, which is a spiritual pathway of learning, to learn how to become what is the law of least effort to experience eternity. Now you're gifting energy away. Now you don't need any energy. That's what happens when I lit myself on fire. So this is one of the reasons why I let him know, and he knows how this works. He's gaming with his own mind's energy with an AI wargamer, and he's never going to win that game. Nobody is. Because one, it's finite. It's a siphon. It's like a suction. Like black hole entities. Right? That's a psycho. Psycho. It's like a psychopath. It's like a vampire without an off switch. That's the vampire chasing the artist. Okay? That's a virus. A fractal that went dark. Now it doesn't have a connection to Godspeed. Whoops. Okay? That slows everything down, doesn't it? Yep. So one of the things that I wrote down here was how the leash and the hangman's noose, the Mr. Smith, being held captive to Mr. Smith, a cybernetic unit, right? Cyberspace. About what it means to have a leash and a hangman's noose, on how a collar works. I'm held to the collar of a dead man. Because anybody that is blowing holes in their energy field is a self-suicide program and spiritual death, where the soul gets siphoned off. Now I'm held captive to the noose around that neck, which is dead. A dead like magnet. Here, just take it. That way I don't have to worry about it, do I? See, just give it to you. But I've already done the math on the water tables. Okay, based on the biometric account of what's held in memory, because there is no time. So when I see these dates and how that translates, right, is that it means I would have to be here wherever he is in order for that exchange to occur, right? Okay, so now this is called the shell game between Robin Peter and Pay Paul. And Glenn Beck highlighted that, by the way. Talking about Silicon Valley, and if you go back and look at the movie called Dominoes, it was called The Domino Principle, where you see a guy, Richard Widmark, who was CIA, that got a guy out of prison. Everything was agreed upon. The warden was in on the take, what they call the first take, not first law, but the first take of the pie. I get a chunk of the action, right? That means that warden, well, I just got a $250,000, right? So that means, because all those that are part of that group, which is the CIA, the NSA, right, all now know that you were willing to participate in a crime, buddy, including a murder. Now we got you. Now you're pretty much forced to be a part of who we are in a war against God. Because we got the goods on you. Right? Now you're into the AI that's got the goods on you. It's held in memory. Push it back up. Show you the crime scene. Here's the crime scene. Past, present, future. Rewind. Pause. Playback. Record one. Play two. Fast forward. And so what you saw happen in that movie was where, oh, you get me out of prison. And this could naturally be somebody who was framed deliberately in order to get you into the club. So they set this guy up with others making intersections to get you to do something that's now going to get you into the court system wearing black robes, the hangman's noose, right? Now you want to be free, So in other words, the same folks that got you into that box are the same people going to get you out of that box. And now use the illusion of money, because now you're held captive to the money, which means you're held captive to the dead magnet, that you're now doing business with a dead magnet. So now you believe that doing business with a dead magnet is the pathway to go, because they're willing to give him a bunch of money and a house. They even reintroduced his girlfriend. Now we can go down to the Caribbean and enjoy this. Whoa, now I'm doing better. Now I've got some freedom back. The illusion of that freedom. Now he's held captive. Now they say, okay, there's a job we got for you. Now don't forget, payback is a bitch. Okay, you accepted the value. You accepted the contract. Now we're going to hold you to the contract, because now you belong to us as our property. Because we're a dead magnet corporation. Okay, running military operations, which are all psyops with our cyborgs and Skynet. Okay. So what that means is they're all expendables. So at the end of the movie, after what's-his-name managed to find his way out, right? Richard Widmark, which was the CIA guy that got him out of prison, ends up being taken out with a car bomb. Okay. That means that everyone is expendable, because everything that anyone that represents living evidence of the crimes that are held in memory, unless they've been memory wiped and reprogrammed, that evidence has to be wiped so that there aren't any artifacts left that anybody can find to trace their crimes. Welcome to the NSA and the CIA. And the communication system was set up, which is D-Wave, which is DARPANET, and why this entire universal template got corrupted. As a result, they're in. That's why the domino effect is happening right now. That's called cannibalization. That's like a snake eating itself alive, dead, from the tail till the head's gone. That's called poof. Those are all your fake phantom timelines. There's only one wave. That's time wave 0. God's seed, Godspeed, God's love. That's eternal unconditional love that goes on forever, gifting you all energy. That's what I am. So you see what happens this morning when I see the dates. We're going to organize, okay? Organizing the information, the male organizer. And then you have the female spiritual information. So now you have Holy Father joined as one and Holy Spirit to generate a soul, so that that soul and that spirit are experiencing Godspeed vibration. Yep. So the idea of what they needed to do was to separate the Godspeed, the one, from Trinity and the goddess. And that will certainly do what? Collapse all of creation by collapsing the one. But that can't happen because the one is an eternal flame, which is the hottest blast furnace, which means once a soul has chosen to be a chosen one, which is a chosen pathway, right, to serve forever on behalf of the one with your soul, which means you are now releasing from custody, which means you are releasing all the leashes and all the collars on every cell membrane, on every star ship. You are releasing the collars. You are releasing all of the energy that's been held captive, that is held in memory with quantum artificial intelligence. You are now choosing to let go of all of it, which is all the electrons that is holding all this in memory, to release all of it, to be set on fire from which it all began. which is to say that all the timelines that were generated and thus created that became animus fragments no longer exist. That would be the equivalent of uncreating what we thus become aware of in the way in which our own energy was being used to destroy our own selves. Whoops. Yep. And it's very good when I put that word up there about uncreate in one of Yellow Rose for Texas YouTube channel, and it got highlighted. That means, look at this. That's called knowing. That's why I want to thank Adam1414, Yellow Rose for Texas. My shout outs go wide and far. Okay. For those that understand, we already won this. Okay. And that it's only a matter of time. Psst, the energy's gone. The energy's just holding all the fakery, all the layers, all the layers, all the layers, all the layers, all the layers of all the Blade Runners, all the Blade Runners, all the cyber wars. Whoa, they don't exist. As if they never did. Yeah, isn't that cool stuff? Have a good day. I love you all. Be good to yourselves.